Gavin, brother, man, got the hair flow, looking clean. How we doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Excited here in Columbia, South Carolina. Healthy, happy. Recent fan of the show. I got to watch a few podcasts just to brief myself a little bit on how it worked. But no, excited to be here, and it's an honor. Really, thank you.
He might be the first guest, Daniel, to say it on air. We've had him tell us, but actually, admit that he smartly watched the show, so he knows what he's coming into. That means he's going to be prepared for this or that. I like catching people off guard. Oh man. Well, with
He was
that,
like, he was like, let me check on these clowns. Let me see who these dudes are.
I mean, I would. I'm not going to really, I'll be honest, I'm not going to sign up to go on any show. But what helps our credibility is obviously his teammates have been on there. So, if Ethan and Roman and those guys have done it, then, but, before we get into your story and talk, all things South Carolina, we got to break the ice. And, we're going to start with baseball. MLB playoffs, the World Series is set. We got the Rangers against the Diamondbacks. Have you been able to watch, up until this point?
I have been able to watch. I've watched pretty much every single inning, and they were all great series. And I'm really liking the kind of underdog feeling in the World Series.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Me and Daniel, we after we have the guests, we break down pro sports and gives us an opportunity to talk them. And I remember when Arizona was making the push for the postseason, me and Daniel broke out Arizona's roster, and we found only three names that we really knew. And it really speaks to what Arizona's doing, to your point on the underdog story, because we're not like you're just casual baseball fans. We're big baseball fans. And so the fact that there's no big names on that roster, nobody that you really notice, you look across the way at the Phillies, right? You got guys for days. It's not that way with Arizona. And I think that's very intriguing. And, some people want those big names, but I think a guy like you, for instance, big time baseball player, loves baseball. You want to see that underdog. You want to see the grinders. You want to see the guys who are looking for that respect. So with that, do you have Arizona winning this against, Texas, who was coming in expectations wise? They weren't supposed to be this good either, but they at least from the start of the season were really, really good. And people kind of noticed that they had a possibility.
No, absolutely no. I'm definitely going for Arizona. Um, I mean, can't go wrong with either side. There's two Gamecocks, one on each side. So no, we're happy about that. But no, we're going with Arizona. Um, Christian Walker, obviously. Got to work with him a little bit right before he left for spring trainings, and no, I'm grateful for the time he spent with me. And yeah, I'll be going for Arizona.
Yeah, that'll be one of those cool stories that you'll be able to talk about for sure. I mean, working with a world champion,
And
you
can you
know,
believe Texas has never won a World Series?
have they really not?
No, I can't. I couldn't
I think
believe
for the
that.
Josh Hamilton era.
Nope.
No.
But I will tell you this about those two teams, Daniel. I did see the stat graphic today. 2 years ago, both those teams had over 100 losses. You want to talk about a turnaround? So, shout out to their
That's
GMs.
what
Shout out to
happens
the
when
coaches.
Evan Longoria joins your team. You become a contender.
Did he get a? He got a title in Tampa, didn't he?
No,
Did Tampa?
Didn't they
Tampa
win
didn't
it
go.
in '07?
no, they never won.
No,
Man,
was
we
that the
don't know who
Phillies?
won anymore. Golly,
I mean, they
Houston,
haven't won
Houston
since
won.
I've lived
Houston
here.
won some for sure. We know that because we try to root against them because he cheated. That's why we were happy with Texas winning. But moving on, Gavin, say you had your own talk show. Don't got to be a sports show. It can be, your own talk show, and you can have any celebrity guest. Still maybe an athlete, but who is your guest that you would have on?
I've been watching a lot of the Travis Kelsey, Jason Kelsey podcast, the Cleveland Heights.
Hmm.
That's actually a really good podcast. No, but I'd probably try to do it with my brother. I feel like we could bring some insight on the game, and obviously not everything, but I think it'd be an interesting conversation for sure.
You can bring your brother on to host with you, and then you can have the Kelsey brothers, and then you got four people. It's just be takeover.
Yep.
Yeah, no, those guys are coming in still in our viewership, man. How are we supposed to compete with the Kelseys, Daniel?
We don't, unless Taylor Swift is dating you or me, which
Which we're married, so that's got to be it.
I mean, yeah, but we're also 40 too, so I mean that hurts too.
Well, speaking of Taylor Swift, and I'm not saying this is your crush, but I'm just thinking of popular people. Who was your celebrity crush growing up?
Huh. So I saw this question and uh, I asked my girlfriend. I was like, who should I say? Like, just to throw him off a little bit. No, but I'll romanticize baseball. Out of respect to her, but I'll romanticize baseball, and I'll go. My favorite player was Joey Votto. Um, he he's honestly like an icon in Cincy now, and that's kind of what you always want to be. He got the ovation. Everybody thought it was going to be his last year, but now he wants to come back, I guess, and I'm excited for it.
So Daniel, he
How long have you been
bypassed.
with your girlfriend?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Daniel,
Pretty
he
pretty short
bypassed
time.
the crush question to go to the athlete question. This
Well,
dude.
I find it funny. Like, if you were to ask my wife, and I've been with her for a really long time, Gavin, she would immediately tell you. Like, she would have no hesitation. Like, she would just come out with an answer and wouldn't even care about my feelings.
Yeah,
So
my wife would tell you it's Scarlett Johansson all day
I
right now.
can respect you, man. Being a stand-up dude, that's good stuff, man.
I actually took that as, Joey Votto was his crush. That's where I kind of felt that win, He's got
Joey
a man
Votto's
crush.
That's
a
been my
baller.
favorite
No,
all growing up.
so
Well,
I
yeah, I was
mean,
gonna say
we
I
did
just I'm gonna
favorite
let you take
athlete
over
right
this.
there.
I'm just gonna let you take into his story now. He studied so much that he played me on my icebreaker day. I don't even know what to do anymore.
He got you. Like he one ups you, man.
I'm back to the drawing board.
All right, welcome to the show. We got a new guest, Gavin Casas, joining us. He's taking over Jim's spot. He knows the questions. He's gonna start asking them, man.
Well, go ahead
No,
and get his
Gavin.
story. I can't tell that part, so go ahead and do that.
Yeah. So let's get to it, man. Tell me a little bit about hometown. Where are you from?
Yeah, so born and raised in Pembroke Pines, Florida.
Oh,
For
Pembroke
those who don't
Pines.
know,
Let me tell you
yeah,
about
for those who
Pembroke
don't know,
Pines.
it's like right in between Fort Lauderdale and Miami.
Trust
So
me,
I just
I know, I know. Let me tell you a story about Pembroke Pines. My first baseball coaching job was at MacArthur High School.
really,
Yeah, and I know you know where that's at, right?
I do absolutely.
Right there in Hollywood. We're not too far from Pembroke Pines. We actually had guys that lived in Pembroke Pines that went there. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think uh, I mean, how long ago did you coach there?
that was back in 2006, 7, 8. Yeah.
No,
So
yeah,
it's
no, I
it's
was gonna
been a, it's
say
been a
because
hot minute.
yeah, because around the time I was in middle school, it kind of changed to where you can kind of go to whatever school you want instead of being district for each school. So it changed a little bit, but no, that's awesome. I mean, there's not many people that I know from outside of Pines that are from Pines, or
Mm.
not from Pines, but even like know it.
It's a small world, man. Believe it or not, it's a small world. Things come full circle. So Pembroke Pines, tell me about, home life. You got mom, dad. Obviously, you mentioned brother, older brother, who plays for the Red Sox. But who do you live with? Mom, dad, brother, anybody else?
So my mom passed when I was 8 years old. So it's my dad, my stepmom, and my brother.
So what all right, so to get into this and take me as far as you feel comfortable taking. All right. Neither one of us, Jim or I, have had that experience, thankfully. But when you go through something like that, and you said you were 8, right?
8 years old, yeah.
What does that do for your mindset, like moving forward? Obviously, your mom's a staple in your life, and then one day she's there, and the next day she's not. What does that mean moving forward? Does that change how you carry your day to day? Does that, or were you too young to like kind of really process it and you waited till later to process that? Take me through like the psyche of like trying to like compartmentalize that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's something I've always been trying to answer for myself. Um, when it happened, she was my best friend. I mean, I was definitely what you can call a mama's boy. Um, and it was July 4th, 2009. My brother and I went to the Keys with our aunt and uncle to go shoot or fireworks or something, see the fireworks in the water. And then Uh, Basically, I remember being sat down on the couch and being told that, she passed, and um, it was hard. It still is. I mean, I still think about her day to day. But it's something you live with, and you kind of take it however you want to take it. For me, I try to take the positive out of it, so I feel like I can empathize with people, especially in like those types of scenarios. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's something that's a part of your life, and you find a new normal. But yeah, that's that's pretty much it.
I mean, so when something like this happens to people, they always say, I know that they're with me, and they can't explain the feeling, but they just know. Is that something that you experience?
I wouldn't say that I've experienced that. All I hope is that, wherever she is, she's looking down on me and she's proud of what I've done and what I continue to do and what I do on a day-to-day basis. And, I try to live through that.
Well, brother, I have no doubt in my mind, and we're going to get into accolades, we're going to get into just your story and your success so far.
Daniel,
Uh,
what I'll say right here is, based upon what we've got, whether we've watched him on playing baseball or reading those accolades you're talking about. One of the things people, when it comes to tragedy in their life, you have two kinds of people, right? They use that as an excuse on why they don't succeed in life, or you do something like Gavin and you are able to push through and thrive in life. And as we get into the story, that's already what we know, right? Because exactly the kind of people I'm talking about. Well, the reason I'm this and this is because, well, you don't understand, I lost my mom when I was young. Gavin doesn't do that, and that he's already my kind of guy.
yeah, just keeps on pressing on, man, and that's awesome to hear. Obviously, it's terrible that something like that happened and you had to experience it, but it's good that you can be at peace with it and kind of move forward and do your thing without forgetting the importance that your mom had. But tell me a little bit about baseball. Obviously, South Florida guy, you have the ability to play year round, but did you play any other sports?
No, man. Since the time I was 4 years old, it's always been baseball. I think actually our first sport, my brother and I's first sport was like soccer. To like, I think my dad wanted to give us some more coordination and be able to use our legs and stuff. But no, for the most part, it's been baseball. I think I, I don't know if my brother and I like wanted to play football one year, but my dad was not going for that.
Well,
Um,
because he knew you guys were future Major League Baseball players. I mean,
yeah, no,
one's already
his
there, and the next you aren't too far behind him, man. That's he's got to
Daniel, all
protect
these
you
cats
guys.
played soccer in the beginning.
I
It's
know, man. And
universal, but
then
that's
they
how
joined
that's how I
up.
ended up one. When you're 4 or 5 years old, your parents want to find something for you to do. They sign you up for soccer.
See,
no, no,
Jim,
absolutely. It's like a younger
well,
sport too, kind of like contact, but it's like a little bit of contact, so it's kind of fun. So
Daniel doesn't like soccer because there's ties, but interestingly enough, as I told him recently, as opposed from the fact that there were NFL ties this past year, the fall World Series between Arkansas ended in a tie on the baseball diamond, which I'm sure he's lost sleep over since I told him.
yeah, I definitely like I tossed and turned every night because
DVH should be fired, shouldn't he?
DVA just wants to let his guys tie. I mean, put a jugs machine. I already told. Put a jugs machine out there and just finish the damn thing. Like if you're afraid of
wait, was it
balls,
tied? Was it
yeah.
tied because like no pitching, or was it tied
Yeah,
because
he
like it
didn't want
rained?
to throw. He didn't want to throw his pitchers anymore. It was tied at 9, and he didn't go to extras because he didn't want to use his pitchers and have them throw any more than they did.
What's interesting is that I think that same thing might have happened at Vanderbilt my sophomore year.
I
So
was just about to say that seems like a Tim Corbin type of move.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that
Kevin
happened. I think it
O'Sullivan is
might have
probably
been
on that
because of weather, but I
same
don't know.
page too. You know,
Yeah.
that's crazy, man.
Are
I
you
know
okay with ending in a tie ever, Gavin? There's got to be a winner, right?
There's got to be a winner. The thing, like, I tell my girlfriend because she plays soccer and she wants me to go to her games, and I'm like, dude, you guys literally are like 0-0 for the full time.
Here's what is simply amazing to me, Gavin, with soccer is that these dudes are world class athletes and can run for days, and they prep and they like work their ass off to be in shape and condition to play 90 minutes back and forth nonstop to tie.
Yeah, no, it's
I'd,
crazy.
I'd rather lose.
I do want to not gloss over something though, Daniel, because he said his girlfriend plays soccer. If you, I haven't been there, but I've watched South Carolina on TV, Daniel. Dude, their soccer stadium and they got light shut. Like their crowd gets into it. Like I don't know if they're how high ranked they are. I know I watched them in North Carolina play in a top 10 showdown, and dude, for a soccer atmosphere, Daniel, it was electric.
This is
No,
what I tell
I
our
gotta correct you for a second. I gotta correct you for a second. She plays for Vanderbilt, but no, the
Oh,
soccer.
terrible.
Yeah, no, the soccer here is incredible. No, I went. Vandy actually came to Carolina this year and actually went to the game. And like, I'd never go to soccer games because I have like no reason to. But um, yeah, no, the game was unreal. Like, I was actually had fun. It was crazy.
man. This is what I tell all of our guests, and you can tell her this. You don't want to know her anymore unless she goes out there looking to get yellow cards. That's it. That's the aggression that I want. Like I just want you to go out there and just get after it. Don't worry about the referees. Just go ham all game. Get a yellow card. Try. Jim's daughter, I tell her that all the time. Like
You've
she,
told her red cards is the only way now. Yellow cards are easy money, bro.
which is just silly, but yeah, soccer, the athletes are amazing. Like you got to be in such good shape, but the end of the tie, it bothers me. Um, but getting back to you in baseball, you said you started playing at 4. Your brother's older. He's obviously playing with the Red Sox now. And my question is the age difference. Were you guys like competing against each other when you were young, or was there too much of an age gap where he was kind of on a different level and you were just kind of tagging along?
No, it's a great question. No, my brother and I are a year and 4 months apart, so not too much age difference, especially when you're young, like 6 through 10, maybe. I remember playing up with him in Cooperstown for the 10U tournament, and I was 7 years old, and I was like this close away from like hitting the or being the youngest kid to ever hit a home run at Cooperstown, but it was foul. And yeah, it's just a story now, but pretty cool story for me.
I mean, that's amazing. So let me ask you this. We've had guys similar with older brothers, like in similar age gaps as you and your brother, and they say that having an older sibling and being able to compete, but also they've had similar experiences where they've played up with them. Do you think having those experiences made you a better player, or did it put more pressure on you to kind of keep up and try to excel at that level?
No, absolutely. I think playing up was great for me. Uh, it introduced me to a lot of new people, a lot of older guys. I have like a bunch of older brothers now. Um, and it was just really a great situation for me because you get challenged every single day just because you're smaller. Obviously, that as you're younger, like there's a bigger differential between kids, and I was smaller, so it was a little harder for me, and I was a little underrated a little bit, but I thought I could hang, and playing with older guys really really helped.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, you have to be you get thrown into the fire, so to speak, and you're forced to kind of ratchet up your game. So getting back to high school, obviously Pembroke Pines, where you grew up. What high school did you go to?
American Heritage,
American Heritage. Jim, let
sure.
me tell you about American
I
Heritage,
feel like
man.
we've had a guest that played at American Heritage before. Am I wrong?
Mm, it was softball player played at American Heritage.
Mm.
Um, I can't remember, but anyhow, American Heritage. lot of tradition, a lot of success. Who is the most famous American Heritage baseball player, Gavin?
I got to go with Eric Hosmer, World Series MVP, All-Star Game MVP, or I think he's like a 5-time Gold Glover now.
I don't
Um,
know. Probably one of the best players. When I was coaching, he was doing his thing, and probably one of the best players I've ever seen at the high school level. Like just
yeah, no, it was interesting. It kind of came full circle because Eric treats us nice. He treats my brother and I nice. He was always around Heritage, so we got to interact a bunch, and to see him get called up with my brother was cool because I guess he was like a mentor role for him, but
Your
it
brother's
kind of came.
on the notable alumni list. I'm gonna email somebody though. Well, I want to know why you're not on here yet. I mean, come
wait.
on, killing it at South Carolina. Put him on the list.
I haven't done anything yet.
He hasn't got the ballot. He's not eligible yet. You got to be out of college to be eligible. But he's a first ballot Hall of Famer for American Heritage. Guarantee. You
I'm
watch.
gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you this, Daniel, just because it's relevant. Because we play fantasy football together. I got killed by Khalil Herbert the other day in fantasy. Dude had like 3 touchdowns. He's a bum. Anyway, he came from American Heritage. Just an FYI for you.
Was that Khalil Herbert you said?
Yeah, I'm only calling him
No,
a bum because he scored against me. I'm not actually saying he's a bum. I'm just mad
no,
because
I
he
know,
beat me.
I know.
So, Gavin, you were the nation's fifth ranked first baseman by perfect game. You were Florida's top ranked first baseman and 45th rated overall prospect. In 2020, you were perfect game preseason All American. 2019, perfect game preseason underclass All American. You hit for 500 average, 5 doubles, 3 homers, 8 RBIs on a shortened season. Senior season, you had 13 doubles, 4 round trippers as a junior, 2-time first team All America, two-time 6A 15 All District, 4-year honor roll member. When you look back and you listen to those accolades, what does that mean to you?
You know, it's really funny because I've never heard that before. I've never heard of any of those accolades.
Well,
Um,
that there was more, but those were the like
I literally shortened it.
we
Yeah,
don't have a whole episode to just read off your accolades.
but
So
I made
those were
sure to put
no, you
honor
guys,
roll 4 times in there because we
you
gotta
guys, you guys
getting it
do
done
your homework
academically.
too.
yes.
No, but no, I mean it sounds great, but I that's all great, but that's not what I'm aiming for.
It's but it's a good step in the right direction. I'll say that. Um
100%.
when we have guys on here, and I'll be honest, like some of them have accolades, some of them don't, but they all are very much aware like those things that they accomplished were big reasons why they are where they are. And so to hear you kind of, validate that, just goes to what, all these guys say, like, it doesn't mean that much, except it's just proving how hard I work to get to where I am. And, you know, being that, we're true believers in that grind and the process, it's good to see guys work their ass off and they get success from it. So when we read it, it's impressive. So I don't want you to don't be the humble guy. Like those are big deals. Like you work your ass off for that. So you should be proud of that. But when did colleges start pursuing you? Because obviously when I look at those types of accolades, I think, well, hell, colleges were after Gavin when he was in like sixth grade. Like what's up? So at what point do colleges start talking to you?
Yeah, so I want to say so it was around that time where you kind of make your top lists, and my dad asked me, he's like, "Where do you want to go?" Like, I was like, then I started doing research, and my number one and the only school I ever wanted to go to was Vanderbilt. So I didn't take any other calls from any other schools, and I waited for Vanderbilt to reach out, and they did, and we agreed on it, and I went.
So there were no other schools, none.
No,
It was just Vandy, and you were like, "Yep, let's go."
that was it.
That's a shame. That's a shame. We, you know,
I mean, I, like it,
We're not
We're
Vandy fans
just
on here. I'm gonna put that out there. I'm so glad that you went elsewhere, which we'll get into.
neither of us are smart enough to get into Vanderbilt. So there's
I'm
there's
not,
that.
I'm not smart enough to get into LSU, who's ranked 168.
I mean, that's on you, bro. Like if you can't get in LSU.
You were in my English class senior year. I was asleep.
Yeah, you were in 2 English classes your senior year.
Big facts.
Because of that.
Gavin, will expose it to the whole world. That's a story for everybody to take 10 seconds. I passed 10th grade English, and then it came back around that I did not attend enough classes. Therefore, they said that I didn't pass it, and I had to go back and do that semester where I missed more than half classroom time. So I would leave 12th grade English and go up the stairs from second period to third period and go to 10th grade English. This ain't even a lie, Gavin. True story.
And he thought he was somebody up in that 10th grade English class too.
Man, I mean, I was.
Oh, debatable.
I at least stayed awake in that class.
So let's get back to Vandy. Before I let Jim hop in and talk about Vandy, obviously you said that was the only school. What was it about Vanderbilt? Was it just the prestige and the academic prowess, or was it the baseball part? Because they were a juggernaut. They've been a juggernaut for a while. What was it about Vandy where you're like, that's my only school? That's it.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So just even looking it up, it was after 2014 when they won, and Dansby was the cover of everything, #1 pick, and then the Vandy Boys like slogan got like released or whatever. That all started happening, and you kind of fall into the hype. I mean, it's an attractive school. You're in Nashville, Tennessee. I take my academics very seriously, and I thought that school would suit me. And I wanted to be coached by Tim Corbin, and I wanted to do the whole Vandy Boy experience. I wanted to be there. I wanted to win a natty, and that's really what attracted me.
Do you like whistling?
God, oh my God, no.
Okay, so yeah, neither do I. Let's leave it at
But
that.
he doesn't whistle while he's or while they're pitching. So
But now Gavin gets to experience that, and it's probably the worst thing ever. So
Now,
I'm just saying it
it's
doesn't happen while he's at bat. So like
no, it's funny because I've met that guy. Like I've actually met that guy. He's like a huge fan, and I'm honestly like he's one of the best fans there. Like I'm not like ragging on him at all. Like he is a loyal Vanderbilt fan, to the heart. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't a fan of the whistling really.
so let me ask you one more question before Jim hops in here. Not that it matters, because I honestly don't think it's gonna matter, but you said you take academics very seriously. What are you studying? Like what would be the backup plan for Gavin? Like what
So that it got a little dicey after I left Vandy.
Oh, that's
At
gonna be
Vanderbilt,
good. I like when people go start with this is a little dicey.
yeah, no, it at Vanderbilt I was a human and organizational development major.
What the hell does
That's
that mean?
basically
What does that mean?
yeah, that's basically like a business degree from Vanderbilt without saying business on it. That's like the best way I can describe it.
That's such a Vanderbilt thing. Like, we're gonna
It's,
make this sound way better than what it is. It's just
it
business.
teaches, yeah, it teaches you a lot of people skills, a lot about groups and group work and stuff like that. But no, after I transferred, so Vandy is a private school, and when you transfer from a private to a public school, the curriculum's a little
Them
different.
them credits don't transfer the way
Them
they said
credits
they
don't
would.
them credits don't credit.
No.
And in order to be eligible for the NCAA, you have to have a certain progress toward degree at a certain year. So I was a junior, so I think I had to be like I think what is it, like 60% done with the or toward my degree. So we basically had to figure out where we could put credits and what major worked for what I was coming in with. And now that is service management, and that's what we're rolling with.
That's
Service
what they're
management.
rolling with. Let me ask
You
you a
know what's
question.
you know what's crazy though, Jim? Like, how on earth can you go to Vanderbilt and then transfer and they go, you know what, those credits, they're not good enough.
They're too good. It's like when they tell you you're too good, you're overqualified for
You're
the job, bro.
overqualified.
No, I got a question for you, Gavin, for real talk, man. Real life stuff right here. My daughter is got Vanderbilt in her like final cut for colleges. Um, she's got soccer scholarships in numerous places, but she's considering Vanderbilt and going non-soccer because she doesn't have a soccer there. Would you be one who would back up, the academics there? Obviously, it has a reputation, but I'm talking to somebody who was actually there taking classes. Would you recommend it to someone who actually does value their academics the way you did and the way my daughter does?
As a regular student, I would 100% support it. I think that that place is a very good stepping stone for whatever you want to do in life, and they connect you with the right people in order to set you up, really.
Well, she's a
And
she's a little
Nashville,
brainiac. She wants to do neuroscience, so smart schools are where it's at.
yeah, no, for sure. But no, they connect you with the right people and they put you on the right path. And Nashville's such an up and coming area that there's so many opportunities there in order to make some money.
Absolutely. So out the gate, I want to ask you this Saturday, I'm going to uh Vandy against Wake Forest for an exhibition. Just talk to me, from when you get there, man. Just how nice is Hawkins feel? Like I hear great things about it. Um, Obviously, it's smaller attendance wise, but from a facility standpoint, extremely nice.
No, absolutely. I think I would probably call it one of the more iconic stadiums in the SEC just because it's so unique. Um, But yeah, I mean, the field's a field, it's turf. It's definitely like a learning curve that you have to get used to as like you start there. But I mean, it's not that crazy. But no, the facilities they really do a good job. I'll commend them as much as they deserve it. Really, they do a really good job. Um, Everything's modern, everything's new. But yeah, I have no hate toward them.
Sound like you're trying to do your best and not say anything. That means we're gonna get somewhere in a minute. Freshman year, limited playing time. But there's always opportunities to learn from experiences. We hear this from guys all the time, and especially a team that makes it to the championship. I was actually there in Omaha. My son is a Mississippi State fan. I was actually sitting right behind home plate for that series. So real cool experience. Obviously know the talent that was on that Vandy team, but talk about it. Obviously, like I said, limited playing time, but man, you had to been able to take in a lot from a team that, makes it that far.
No, absolutely. No, it was I definitely look back at that time and I feel like it's a real blessing to be on that team, really. Just to be around guys like Kumar and Leiter and learning from Dom Keegan, who was ahead of me. He ended up being an All-American, so I mean there wasn't much opportunity for me there. But I was willing to stick out the grind and I was willing to wait, and that's what I was willing to do, honestly. But
Yeah, and there a
um,
little bit more validation when the guy becomes an all you're upset that you're not starting, and then you're like, okay, the guy in front of me is that dude.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was great. He really mentored me. Whatever I needed, he was there, answered any questions. I would kind of describe him similar to me, where I'm like more of on the quiet side. So, um, no, it was real cool being behind him.
So, we talk about that. You get that experience. You go into sophomore year, you know, played in 22 games with 13 starts, batting 294, home run, three doubles, 14 RBIs. So still, only playing, just over a third of the games. Where are we at in that point? Are you grateful for the opportunity of the amount of time you've got to play? Or are we still kind of, all right, I should be playing more than this at this point?
Yeah, like here's when it gets a little dicey. So right after that Omaha that you were at, I got sent to summer ball, which was in Rhode Island, and go up to Rhode Island, play 2.5 games. And I mean, I don't know if you've been up to the Northeast and like that NECBL, like that whole Northeast area, the fields are not it.
Mhm.
Not, I mean, nothing compared to SEC caliber fields, but the bag I hit was soft. I hit a ground ball, ran it out. I hit a really soft bag, really hard,
Mhm.
probably way too hard, and I tore my lateral meniscus. So it was a pretty short stint for me in Newport, Rhode Island, but um, that happened after my freshman year. Um, so yeah, I had to drive back to Nashville and get it fixed,
Mhm.
and yeah.
What was it? Was that rehab process like? What's the timeline on that?
So that Yeah. So it gets a little foggy, but I had so I think 4 days after my knee surgery, I had an appendicitis episode.
Mm.
So I was basically like in a lot of pain, throwing up, like I couldn't ingest anything. I was like, dude, what is wrong?
Mhm.
So end up having to go back to the hospital, which I just came out of because of the surgery, and I was like, geez, like what is going on? And they're like, oh, like your appendix is about to burst, like it's no big deal,
In
like you
real
just
in
need
real
to
time, did you think like maybe you had like an infection from the surgery or something? Like, because being 4 days after, you immediately start to like try to figure out how it might correlate with what you just did.
no, it gets better. So get the appendicitis out or appendix out. They send me home. Then after that, I still have like convulsions. I remember being in the car with it was my girlfriend and my stepmom, and I started like convulsing like in my passenger seat because I couldn't drive. And we had to pull over, call 911, like emergency truck had to take me to the emergency room. And we were like, what the heck is going on? They take me back. They do like blood cultures and like CT scans, and they find two blood infections and blood clots in my liver. So yeah,
So you
no,
really
got
did
thrown
have
for
infection.
yeah, no, it really did. Two infections. But no, they brought me in a room and I was there for 2 weeks. It wasn't a very pleasant time. It I was almost close to dying. I mean, it was like my white blood cell count was like 6 times higher than it should be or something. And they said something about like my blood almost turning septic. And then if that happens, then like you're done. But um that's what yeah, that happened. And then that really impacted the knee because the lateral meniscus surgery, it was only supposed to be like a 5 week thing.
Mhm.
Like from surgery to like recovered, like 5 weeks. It was supposed to be like this really minor thing. And
Do you
then this,
think do you think if you never tore your meniscus and there was never an issue,
oh, and
do
I
you
got
think this would
appendicitis.
yeah, do you think this would have
Oh,
been caught, like, too late? Do you ever think about that?
it would have been bad because I was very new in Rhode Island and I was very uncomfortable and I had a host family that I did not really know. So there was no way I was asking for their help. And it would have been interesting. But maybe it was a blessing in disguise that I
Yeah.
tore it and then I drove back down because I mean I can't lie, like I had really good health care. So
Well, I'm never going to
um
Rhode Island because you came out with torn meniscus and infections, and doesn't sound like my kind of place. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna stay where I'm at. No, but man, we talked about the mom thing earlier, and now you talk about being close to death. It really speaks to who you are because man, you're on this podcast, you're smiling. You're somebody who seems to be happy in life, and you've been throwing a lot of obstacles, right? And so, man, it really just speaks to who you are. And so, you know, battling through that, I talk about those games. So were you hurt going into the season, or was it one of those things that you just weren't yourself throughout the season because you dealt with all that stuff?
No, it was interesting because all that time that I had the appendicitis thing going on, I was pretty stagnant. So I wasn't moving. And the rehab process, like you got to move like 2 days after the operation to like get that mobility back so no scar tissue builds up. But um yeah, that really impacted the because it impacted the rehab time because the scar tissue was building up in my knee because I was straight. It was just straight legged and I was like more focused on living than rehabbing. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
The
so
the
That
the
that
the,
that is
the knee
just
becomes, yeah,
unacceptable.
yeah.
unacceptable.
And after that,
Coach
like
Kingston was probably like, this guy, he's putting his life in front of this knee. Come on, now.
right. No, that was Corbin. It wasn't
Yeah, it would have
Kingston
been
at the
Corbin.
time.
He wasn't there yet. Corbin
No.
definitely would have been saying that. I'll tell you this, Daniel, as somebody who's had appendicitis, and I was just like him. I remember I was throwing up and I was in such pain, and I remember they gave me morphine and they were like, "What's your pain level?" And I was like, "It's still a 10." I don't wish that on nobody. And then the thing about it that I can speak to, what you're talking about, you can't do much because it messes your core up, and you really find out how much your core means to everything else, right? Because you can't hardly move for crap. And so to your point on rehabbing, with your leg, like, no, you ain't getting up and doing anything right after that.
No. No, it was interesting because they had me on an IV and they wouldn't let me eat or drink because like if you do a CT scan, I guess you had to be like pretty clean.
Mhm.
So I couldn't eat or drink for like I think it was like 8 days, but like they were pumping me with fluids, so I like blew up like a balloon. Um, but no, that was not a fun time.
All right, so you go through that, you go back to baseball, obviously read off the stats, So the big question that we want to know is how does how do you end up in the transfer portal, and how does it end up being South Carolina that you choose?
Yeah, basically to keep a long story really short, I was asked to leave, um, and said my piece and will enter the portal. And for me, it hurt because I had such like big dreams and aspirations there at Vanderbilt, and I felt like that was a good place. But ultimately, I was like very unhappy there. Like I was sold on the dream, and then like I was not the same person I am today at Vanderbilt. But I mean, I don't know if that's something that Corb saw and like maybe he was like, dude, you need to get out of here because what was said to me was crazy. But um maybe that was his way, I don't know. But whatever it is, I entered the portal. I felt like I was good enough to play in the SEC. And I wanted to go somewhere where it was warmer. And South Carolina made the most sense. We played here. That's my sophomore year. So that last year, we actually came to Carolina and played them in a series. And I think we were ranked fourth or something. And dude, this stadium was crazy. And I remember being in the dugout. I remember being in the dugout. I was like, dude, this place is sick. Like I would play here every day. Like this park is beautiful. Like everything, the grass, it was a real field. So I was like, dude, I miss this.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let me ask you
the
this. I'm not gonna ask what he said. We're not one of those podcasts. We're not trying to build a drama, but I do want to know whatever it was that was said. Was it something that made you kind of tuck your tail between your legs, or was it something that motivated you and said, you know what, like this guy is wrong about me. Like I'm gonna go prove otherwise.
ah, I mean, no, it was definitely motivating for sure. He lit a fire under me like no other, and it's I think it's better to me in the long run. Like I said, I mean, I'm a huge believer in everything happens for a reason. Um, and this was honestly a blessing for me in disguise. And if I had to do it again, I wouldn't change anything.
Man, that's crazy. And I'm sure he has many, many nights where he thinks about that conversation now that it's played out the way
Look
that
at
it.
Vandy's lack of offense last year. He definitely thinks about
I
it.
mean, I ain't trying to talk about Vanderbilt, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you get to Columbia from Nashville, right? What's the reception like from the guys? Knowing that you were at Vandy, coming from a rival school, SEC guy, was it kind of like, let's see what this guy's about? Or was it, open arms, embracing, like, man, we're glad this dude's with us now?
Yeah, so I was really nervous walking in. I was like, okay, like these guys have no idea who I am. I didn't really play. Um, so I was like, okay, I'm the new guy. But walking around the facility and in the locker room, there was an immediate response of like feeling wanted or like feeling like accepted by the guys and by everybody. It was pretty cool to feel. Just because I never felt that at Vanderbilt. Like I never felt like they wanted me there at all. But um, no, having that feeling was a really good feeling for the first time, and they welcomed me with open arms, and I felt comfortable from the start.
It's really hard for robots to show any emotion. And that's what I think of when I think of Tim Corbin, just a very robotic guy, just nothing. Like every time you see him, he's just like, he's a little red under the neck because he's getting like
Well, do you
hot
remember what I told you about in
baby
Hoover
face,
when he sat right next to us, right amongst the LSU fans, and he had a hoodie on, like nobody knew who he was?
trying to hide from folks.
I had Jackson go take a picture. I had my 11-year-old son go take a picture with him just for fun, so I could. It was really more so I could just have people say, why did you have your son take a picture with Tim Corbin?
Probably the most uncomfortable Tim Corbin had ever felt in his entire life, having to take that picture. But anyhow, played and started 61 games for the Gamecocks in 2023. You hit 259, 60 runs scored, 10 doubles, 19 dingers, 56 RBIs. Obviously, when you do stuff like that, you're in an environment like Founders Park. We've heard from other players it's electric. So let me get your take on Founders Park. You said a little bit about the atmosphere prior to you going to South Carolina, but once you're there, does it hit all the right things that you were like, man, this is why I'm here?
It's everything I've hoped for and dreamed for, really. No, but they are awesome, awesome. I can't say enough about them. They show up pretty much every single night. They're gonna be loud. They're gonna be on that other pitcher's head top. So you feel good about the fans that you have behind you.
How's the food there? Just
In
curious
Columbia,
because I mean we hear
You've
players
never
talk
you've never
about.
asked a guest that question. You're trying to make a trip over there to Columbia. I see you.
I'm inquiring minds want to know.
no,
How's the
I can
food?
definitely put you down with some good restaurants. There's some really good ones here.
What about the ballpark? How's the
The
ballpark?
ballpark,
Yeah, give me just like a
you're
hot
talking
dog,
about like,
just like a basic hot dog. Is it good, or is it just
I
like
don't
one
need.
of the? Oh, okay,
You
well,
have to be doing something wrong to not have at least decent hot dogs. Like,
I mean,
I'm pretty sure they're pretty good, but like I'm not a hot dog dude. I will not eat one.
Gavin, let me ask you a hot dog question. We're gonna do this, Daniel.
oh god, this is ridiculous.
I was down at the Shriners Classic watching my LSU Tigers in Minute Maid Park, and they sell a hot dog sandwich. They cut two hot dogs, split them in half, so it comes across four on toasted bread, cheese, chili, whatever you want. Anyway, make it into a sandwich. And so I ask you, Gavin, is a hot dog a sandwich?
It's either what's the two, a sandwich or a sub?
Yeah.
The options.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Or Daniel said, well, no, Daniel refuses to say
Gotta be
it's
a
it.
sub.
He
a
says it's
hot
a
dog
hot
is
dog.
its
It's its
own
own category.
thing. It's its own thing.
The Tennessee girl said it's a taco.
Wow.
A taco. It makes more sense as a sub. It's like it's a piece of bread that you cut open. It's the same thing as a hoagie, but you're putting a different meat in it.
So it was on regular bread. What Daniel said discredits it as the sandwiches. Once they split the hot dogs in half, it no longer became relevant.
Yeah, when you start butterflying your hot dogs, like, come on.
Bro, it was
Yeah,
good. That's all I know. I sat there and watched it while I was watching Tennessee, Oklahoma. It was best ballpark food ever.
Well, good for
They need
you.
them in every stadium in America.
Good for
I'm
you.
gonna get those and Chinook seeds in every stadium.
Let's go. I can get down with the Chinook seeds now. All right. So obviously, Founders Park, electric, great atmosphere, great fans. Ballpark hot dogs are debatable. We don't know. But favorite regular season series this past season, what was your favorite series? And was it can be at home or it can be away, but what was your favorite series?
I mean, if I'm being selfish, it was like the Kentucky one, but we lost. But I'm not even gonna go into that. I just had a good weekend. But I think the most electric series.
That was pretty
I think the most
chippy
electric
weekend.
series.
That was a really cheap, and you guys are pretty chippy anyhow, but like that was really it was
Kentucky
fun
is
to
too, though.
watch.
When they came into Baton Rouge, they got you with LSU.
Wow. Kentucky's got a lot of receipts coming their way. Just wait. This year, just wait.
They got the potential for sure.
Um, so
No,
Kentucky, but
No,
to
that
get
was
back to it,
selfish.
the
Like
most
he's got to say
electric
the
series.
team one.
Yeah, no, the to get the most electric series was LSU by far. I mean, to talk about ties again, like we split that series. I
I
was
will tell you this.
let's
No,
get
no, no.
ask
I'm
ask
gonna
him
I'm
the
gonna say it,
question.
Daniel. Daniel,
Ask
I'm gonna
him
say
no,
I
ask
don't,
him first what he thinks.
but I know his answer. It's the right answer too. All right. If you play a game 3, who wins?
There's only one answer.
Right. It's the right answer.
I
And
just wanted him to
I
hear
got
it.
I got scalded by LSU fans. That was when our pitching was in shambles and y'all were hitting the way we got lucky to win game 2. And they were talking about, oh, South Carolina's lucky we didn't play a third game. I'm like, hell no, man. Get out of Columbia, dude. Like that y'all were giving it to us. Y'all should have won both games. Or like I said, we didn't have a Sunday guy at the time. I didn't want nothing to do with that. And LSU fans were full of themselves saying, oh, we were the better team. Not even a chance.
Nope, not happening.
I think y'all helped sharpen us for the long run because we needed that whooping and realized that we weren't who we thought we were at the time.
Yeah, y'all got humbled that weekend. Florida got humbled the weekend that South Carolina played them too. So, but you guys, you end up inevitably hosting a regional. You have one of the best offensive teams in the country in Campbell that came in. But you guys show you're the offensive juggernaut. You put up 19 against Central Connecticut State. You had a monster day, and then 6 against North Carolina State and 16 against Campbell. You went 3-0 at home during that regional. How much fun was that? Just being able to host that in and of itself, the hosting thing became like this topic of conversation all over the place, which I mean, we don't have to get into. You guys, in my eyes, earned it, despite injuries and the way the back half of the conference season rolled through. But even still, when you get to regionals, you do something like that. Like, how much fun was that?
It was awesome, really. It was almost like a sense of validity. We had been struggling for not struggling, but I mean, we were down for a little bit. But no, that was definitely a boost up. We were feeling good going into that super. We felt like we really clicked as an offense and that we were figuring it out on the pitching side, and we felt confident going into that Florida series.
Can I tell you? Can I tell you something, Daniel, that I didn't have on my notes that I got to tell Gavin? I almost forgot up. Do you remember my parlay? That I only, I always Gavin. A lot of times my parlays, it drives me nuts. I'll put an 8 or 10 leg parlay, and I'll always just lose one. Daniel can attest because he throws in money with me and goes halves. Now you do remember that Saturday, who was the only team that lost and broke my 8 leg parlay. It was y'all against Florida, and I got told I was crazy for picking y'all against Florida. I said I'll never pick Florida. Give me South Carolina all day, and it backfired on me.
As
I
a
have no
matter of
regrets
fact,
though. I have no regrets. I won't pick
I,
Florida still.
I quote Jim, Florida. That is his exact words. So, and if you haven't heard it, it's all over Twitter. It's out there. It definitely is.
It's not
But
true. It's not
that
true.
that's 100% true. No
That video
lies.
that video was somehow created and made. It's all AI.
I mean, Anyhow, we'll talk that off air. But so ultimately, you lose, and the biggest off season question then becomes, what are you going to do? Um, there was a SI article that was published called "Power at the Plate," which is why we titled this episode that. And they said that, because they have Cole Messina and Ethan Petrie, it was okay if they lost you. And it had nothing to do with like you, but they were just saying like a guy of your caliber, you know, should you choose to leave, like South Carolina was still going to be okay in the lineup. So I ask you, what was it that, made you decide I'm going to come back and run it back? I'm going to do it again.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I spoke to someone about this earlier. But yeah, I think what it ultimately boils down to for me is that I'm really happy here. My time at Vanderbilt was a really dark place in my life, and to like come to Columbia and like almost get this breath of fresh air and like really enjoy playing baseball again and love being on the field and see the beauty in this game and want to get better and train and be healthy. Um, yeah, that's it.
I mean, you are a big part of that because, like, coming, mentioning those two guys, Daniel. How many times did we talk on the show? You talked about, you'd listen to some episodes. You'd have to go back into the archives and find them. But Daniel, on a week to week basis, said you were the X factor for South Carolina. He would say that he'd be like, everybody talks about Ethan. He's like, but it's going to come down to what Gavin does, and he was a firm believer in that, and that's why I say coming into this upcoming season, they mentioned those two guys, but I think they undoubtedly need you in that trio in the heart of the lineup and need you to protect Ethan, and I think it's a big deal. I think you're the X factor again coming into this season.
I mean,
Appreciate it.
Gavin's gonna get his money's worth at the plate, that's for sure. He ain't gonna get cheated. And like Ethan might go out there and hit 2 home runs in a game, but they're gonna be solo shots. My boy Gavin gonna hit 3 doubles and 6 RBIs and like have just a day. And then he might put one over the fence too, just for icing on the cake, man. But I mean, you got power. I mean, you had, double digit home runs, this past season. You guys are, in my eyes, like still one of the teams to beat. Like you got a lot coming back as far as in the batting order, but the pitching part is something I wanted to ask you. Losing guys, obviously big time arms. What do you got in store, through the fall? Like who are some names to look forward to for the upcoming season?
I don't want to give too much away, but no, we have a good staff. We got guys returning like Eli Jones and Matthew Becker. We got Dylan Eskew back. We got Roman Kimball coming back. We got Ricky Williams coming back. We got a bunch of new freshman pitchers. Um, but yeah, that's
Mm.
I'm really excited for what we got.
What I'm curious about is, did you have any kind of talks with Parker Nolan and have any, kind of sway in getting him to come?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was funny because the top seeds in the SEC get like to stay in this one hotel, and then like the bottom, I think three stay in a different hotel. So I guess we were like the top eight,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I saw Parker like up an elevator, and we were with Monty actually, our hitting coach, and me and Parker roomed together at Vanderbilt. So I mean, we're really close, and we were just catching up in the elevator. I was like, "Hey, Monty, like Parker's coming to South Carolina, like he's transferring," and like saying that as a complete joke, but kind of, um, kind of like what's it called, manifesting it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, that was kind of where it got introduced, and then after the transfer portal opened and the draft was coming up, and it was about the time where it was about to close, and I called Parker and I was like, "Yo, like, what are you doing next year?" And I
He
think
was like, Gavin, you'll never believe it, but Coach Corbin sat me down and was telling me some crazy stuff. Man, I gotta get out of here.
no. It was no, I called him, I asked him if he was interested. I thought it was gonna be a great place for him. I know what South Carolina did to me, and I think that it'll do the same for him. And he ultimately decided to come here, and we're happy to have him.
Yeah, no, we had a baseball Twitter space earlier with a lot of people who are heavy into college baseball right before this episode, and you got brought up by Chris Roy, two-time national champion from LSU. He brought up how big of a land that he thought Parker coming to South Carolina was. The question we had discussing is, he's a guy who can move all over the infield. As far as in fall ball, where's he been playing mostly?
He's been mostly at second base. Uh, he played second base for us in the World Series, actually. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. Or
Mhm.
he actually played like the whole back half of the season, and he was one of our best infielders. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
no,
one of the things I've
I
noticed, he's been a good utility guy because he's been able to kind of play
yeah,
wherever been he's asked.
He's
yeah,
a
no.
he's a gamer,
Third
man.
base,
Wherever they
second base.
tell him to play, he's gonna be like, all right, I got you.
Gavin's like, I'm staying at first. I'm not going anywhere.
Shoot.
No, actually, they got me at third this fall.
Oh, do they? So who's over
No,
on
it's a little.
first?
We got. They're both Tylers, Tyler Causey and Tyler Zadex.
Ooh, man.
North Carolina transfer and freshman.
All right. Any hot takes that you want to give us about where you're going to be playing this spring? Game 1.
No,
Where do
look,
you think you're going to be?
uh,
In the lineup and
He's
just leave
like,
it at that.
he's like,
I'll be in the lineup.
don't get me in trouble.
I'm kidding.
no, I go out there, I compete. I compete every single day. I try to get better at whatever I do. And if third base is that, then I'm gonna try to be the best at it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I know that I can play a little bit of first base. Third base is obviously an experiment right now. I don't know. I feel like it's going pretty well. But ultimately, I'm doing whatever helps the team the most. Whether that be play first or play third or play outfield, I don't really care. If
What's
I
the
can impact
hardest
the game.
thing? What's the hardest thing you've had to learn at third base?
I feel like it's very similar to first. I just have to find ways to organize my body in order to get myself in a position to throw to first base.
Yeah, yeah, it's awkward having everything's turning inside, but it's like a different direction. So like, yeah, I can see that for sure. Well, Gavin, man, Jim's gonna play a little game with you, but before he does that, I just want to tell you, man, it's been a blast watching you and the Gamecocks this past season. It's been awesome. I'm very thankful that I chose to jump on the bandwagon of the Gamecocks. And I'm very thankful that you decided to come back because I get to watch you play some more, man. So I'm looking forward to you guys getting to Omaha. That is my expectation for you. So I don't want to raise the bar too high for you. Just Omaha, no big deal, you know.
Start there, and then you'll
That's it.
say national championship.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, it's a gauntlet like it is every year. That's one of the things we are talking about in the space. The SEC as a whole over there at the top of the East with you guys, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia's going to be improved with Wes Johnson. So another year of the SEC grind. It never gets easy for anybody, and so that's why we love it so much. But the game is called This or That. It's brought to you by Chinook Seedery. Have you ever had Chinook seeds?
I have. I've had them from friends, but I've never gotten like the package sent to me.
All right. What's your favorite flavor that you've gotten from your friends?
Is there one that's like cracked pepper?
Uh,
Parmesan pepper.
there's Parmesan pepper and lemon pepper. Did it
I
have a
think it was the
baseball player on
Parmesan.
the front?
I'm not sure. I think it was like I don't know, the little seed thing. I'm not a
Yeah,
huge seed
then
guy.
it was Parmesan pepper. The reason I asked is only lemon pepper has someone on the front, so it would stand out. It's got Bobby Witt Jr. on there. So yeah, Parmesan pepper is the most popular seed that they have. But for those who don't know and listen and watching the show, they're obviously an official sponsor of the show. 8 flavors from Mild to Wild. I like how Gavin said he hadn't got a box yet. He's plugging. He's watched this show before. He knows we'll get him a box, Daniel. That's what he just did. He's going to have 8 flavors. We're going to see what he likes. I personally like the Cinnamon Toast Crunch because I'm a kid, but
Gavin, do you want to hear a funny story about these seeds?
no, I'm not doing it again. I swear I'll hit stop record. You can't tell this every show.
It's funny.
I mean, no, it's not. I sent them a box. It only had original because I gave them all out in Starkville and
Nah,
Noble.
see, if you're gonna tell your narrative of the story, you got to tell it the
It
right
only
way,
had
because
original. I said I was sending him a box of seeds. It only had original, 3 bags of original. He was unhappy about it because he was supposed to get all the flavors. I gave them away in Starkville. I'm sorry, they fed me really good, Daniel. Moving on.
this was 8 days of him plugging and promoting to me all the flavors and how awesome the flavors were and how he was sending me these flavors. So I'm expecting a variety box. I'm not expecting every flavor, but I opened the box, I reached my hand in, boom, it's original. I'm like, great, the foundation seed. I love a nice original seed. Reach in, boom, second bag, original. Reach in for a third bag, the last bag, original. And I was like, this dude sent me all original.
Bro, what did you just get last week? Did I not make up for it? Did I not have them send you a box with all flavors and the brand new hat and the brand new shirt? Stop it.
You did, and I appreciate that. But I just think it's important to note how this story went down.
I'm fixing it because Gavin's your boy in South Carolina is your team. I'm fixing to not get him sent anything on because of you. How about that?
All right. I will.
Can I play my game? Can I play my game?
Your game? Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's usually your game, but it's mine tonight because I let you talk South Carolina. Normally,
appreciate
Gavin,
that.
I
Thank
talk
you.
the college. Anyway, so 2 options. You choose one or the other. You can't say neither, can't say both. Down to play?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. First one, PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
You got a favorite game?
I don't play video games.
Man, the reason we started doing that is because a lot of these baseball players tell us that that's what they do in their off time because you spend so much time playing baseball or doing academics. It's like the one getaway. Like Dolander was talking about it last week. He said Call of Duty's his thing. Like when he's like finally, done doing baseball and he's still doing it now in the minors. He said Call of Duty, he's just sniping folks.
No,
That's
my
silly.
my outlet is cooking.
Cooking.
Nice.
That's interesting. Next question is about cooking. Are you a breakfast for breakfast guy or do you like breakfast for dinner?
I'm not a huge breakfast guy. I don't know what it is. I literally just eat like a bagel. That's it.
Man, he doesn't play video games or eat breakfast.
You
You're
put peanut
losing me,
butter on the
Gavin.
bagel? Do you put cream cheese? Like, do you put something? You got to put something on the bagel, right?
Yeah, so it's called the Better Bagel, and it's like supposedly it's like has 25 grams of protein and like I don't know 4 grams of carbs, and then with like this fake cream cheese type thing. It's like a probiotic thing. I don't know, but it's supposed to be good for you, and that's
Who
why
makes this better bagel?
Whole Foods. I
Oh,
shop
I
at
mean,
Whole Foods.
he brought me back around, Daniel. I like the 25 grams of protein, with the less fat and carbs. So you know what, he won me back over with that answer. Do you at least like, this isn't something I normally ask, but now I gotta get like you don't do breakfast. Do you at least like cereal? You got to. You're un-American if you don't.
Cereal. I love cereal, but I don't really buy cereal.
Mm. Well, they should be
It's
provided
either.
in South Carolina. They should have a whole cereal array for you guys.
I love
No, they do.
cereal,
They
but
get
I
it right in
love
the nutrition.
I love giant bowls of cereal, and I can't like I can literally eat one box of cereal in like 2 servings.
Mhm.
That's how much I
I'll,
like cereal,
I'll
and
tell
I
you this,
don't
Gavin.
buy it for that reason.
If you get into a slump, though, you're gonna have to eat breakfast. The ultimate slump buster. Trey Richardson from TCU came on and talked about the reason he hit 3 home runs against Arkansas in Fayetteville was because he had 2 plates of IHOP before the game. So if you get in a slump, I know you're
Saw
not a
that.
breakfast
That was
guy.
a good story. Yeah,
Yeah, so
I
get
might. I'll try anything. I don't. Whatever it
Go
is.
into IHOP, get you a little short stack, and be like, all right, I'm good to go.
Whatever it is, I'll do it.
there you go. All right. So if you were left on an island, stranded there, and your only options were to be with your worst enemy or all by yourself, what are you taking?
I'm comfortable being by myself. I live by myself now, so it's fine.
I'm so glad you said the answer, Daniel. We now have 3 people who admitted to saying they would eat their worst enemy, and it's just getting a little weird. The question's almost going to have to be taken off, bro. Cannibals everywhere. I'm learning too much about people.
Well, season 8's coming to a close, in about a month. So maybe that'll be the time to retire the question.
Yeah. Well, we always retire this or that questions. That one's definitely going into the ocean, to the abyss, and never coming back. I'll put this one on there for fun, Daniel. I'm actually asking him a question about
Why are you asking about Tommy White and Blake Burke?
because I want to,
You
because
ask him
he's a
about Cole
no,
Messina and Ethan
no,
Petrie.
because I don't want to put him to have to choose between his teammates. That's why I went this way. Let me do my questions. Who hits better bombs, Tommy White or Blake Burke?
Better bombs. So we're
Yeah,
not talking about like who's better. We're just strictly saying
right.
like
Yeah, we're
all
bombs.
fly bomb.
That tells me he's
Burke.
going to say Burke. Yeah, 479 feet off the church in
I
Hattiesburg
mean,
bombs.
Blake Bird ain't hit a
It's
bomb
also a
to
bias. It's
win a
also a
college
biased
World
answer
Series,
because
though.
I'm a lefty.
Well, the way he swings it is, and they mirror it. I know you've seen it beside King Griffey's and the dropping of the bat. That just looks beautiful. Now, to Tommy's credit, he had his biggest bomb in Omaha when it mattered most. So he does have that for him. But I do like the Burke bombs. There's no wrong answer in that question. But I just want to ask you about 2 guys you go against. But since Daniel wanted it, so if I said Petrie against you, who are we going with?
You said who?
Ethan Petrie against you.
Who's better or like
Who's
who
got
hits
better
better?
bombs?
Oh, me.
See, he lied to us, Daniel.
I mean, that's true.
No.
Ethan will hit a bomb and he's like
Look.
sprinting around the bases. Gavin's gonna hit a bomb and he's gonna be like, "Yeah, what's up,
Oh,
y'all?"
I'm telling
Pointing out the
Ethan.
right
The thing,
field.
I'm
okay,
telling Ethan that both y'all in here lying on him.
I mean, it has nothing to do with Ethan. I think he's a great
the
guy.
thing
He's a great
is like,
player.
yeah, no, Ethan obviously like outstanding. Like he had a crazy year last year. Like I mean, I'm with him on a daily basis, and it's impressive to see what he does. Like even in batting practice. But no, he works his tail off, and he's getting his results. So all kudos to him. But yeah, no, I think I enjoy mine a little more.
My favorite story about Ethan is in Hoover. So all these South Carolina fans are lined up to get an autograph and see him. And there you had me and my son in purple wearing LSU gear. And he bypasses all the South Carolina fans. And then like he actually walks by us, and then it like you could tell it caught the corner of his eye. And then he came over, he's turned around and stopped, came over, signed my son's autograph book and took a picture and then went back in. And all these fans are sitting there looking so confused or whatever. And then he messages me as soon as he gets on the bus and says, yeah, he's like, my bad. He's like, I didn't see you at first. And then he goes, I realized you'd be the only LSU fans waiting at the gate for my autograph. And then I knew it was you, and then turned back around. But the South Carolina fans were so confused, and he knew I was waiting just there for him. So he made a trip back around. So I appreciate it. But it was funny. The South Carolina fans were giving me the evil eye.
Yeah, it's a shame you didn't get mine.
I didn't know you
Oh,
then. I didn't know you then.
Crazy.
I'm getting it this time. Don't worry about it. Guest collection. See the
or
back there.
will
You got to be up
will
there.
you? That's a mighty big assumption that you're making.
He better.
Considering Gavin is the one who actually has to put his name down.
If he doesn't sign an 11-year-old's autograph book that says South Carolina and has all these signatures,
Gavin, I'd give you $100 to just big league the shit out of them. Just big league. Just walk right on by.
anyways, moving on. Would you rather own a massive yacht or a private jet?
Yeah.
Wrong answer, but it's okay. No, I'm just kidding.
Man,
All right.
you going anywhere.
Anyway,
Last
anytime.
question. You've studied this, you've heard the show, so that means I'm changing it around. I'm changing it. All right. If I was to walk into your room right now and I had 10 million, so I'm flexing it from 1 million to 10 million. If I brought you $10 million cash and I said you can have that or the national championship, what are you taking?
See, that's messed up.
Yeah, I did that. That's because you studied this and you assumed that you would take the national championship over a million. So now I'm upping it times 10. And
I
don't
mean,
lie, you know what? And
Okay.
don't even lie to us, Gavin, and say national championship because $10 million ain't nobody passing that up.
whether you make it 10 or 1, the answer is still the same, brother.
Yeah, but these guys make it easy and say national championship when it's one. You put it to 10, it changes the whole game.
All right, 10
You know
mil.
what? I'm gonna go national championship because I think, experiences are way more valuable than money. And I feel like a lot of people when they get older and they said they were money hungry, they end up being very unhappy because they were focused on getting money instead of enjoying the experiences that they have. So I will go national championship and remember that forever.
So I'm gonna go deeper with you than I have any guest we've ever had. I'm not gonna expose any names. That is not what I'm gonna do. But I'm gonna tell you, there's an LSU player who was very monumental in their national championship run, who is now working the 9 to 5 grind and doesn't have any money. And he may have those memories, but he's not having any fun right now on a day-to-day basis. So I'm just telling you, $10 million would have kept him from working that same job. So just keep that in mind. But you know what? Ain't nothing wrong with the memories. Obviously, I joke. I can only imagine what it'd be like in Omaha to be able to be a part of that dog pile. So I'm not going to continue to mess around. I know that I would take that. It's just easy for us guys at our age. My kids and wife cost a lot of money. So, like Daniel says, he'd sell his ring for 100,000. So would I. But with that, you're off the hot
Quickly.
seat. Off that, with that, you're off the hot seat. Is there anything you want to plug or promote? Do you have any merch? You got anything that we can find?
You can find my social medias. I'm pretty sure they're all at Gavin_Casas. That's pretty much it.
And then,
Man,
of course, Gamecock Baseball on IG.
Gavin, dude, it's been awesome. We wish you first and foremost a healthy season, a happy season, a fun season, and a successful season. Hopefully, a memorable season nonetheless with a special, special ending for you guys. I know that's the goal. That's probably the expectation that's been set forth. And coming off a season like last year, there's no reason why you can't replicate it again.
And I don't got to root against them. They don't come to Baton Rouge, and we don't go to them. So I can root for them to win on
No,
a week to week basis.
I mean, y'all LSU really scared.
No, Chris talked about that earlier. Even without playing South Carolina, they have the hardest schedule in the SEC. We don't need South Carolina to make things worse. We're good where we're at.
I mean, you could take SEC team and remove one team and input another, and everyone's beating up on everybody. It's not easy, no matter
No doubt. But I mean,
who you put in.
based upon the expectations we have for South Carolina, I'm saying I wouldn't trade. We talked about Kentucky, for instance, right? I would. I'm glad Kentucky's on the schedule as opposed to South Carolina. That's my point.
Bet you are. Bet you are. All right, Gavin, man, we're going to let you bounce, man. I appreciate it. If you like hearing Gavin's story or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook. Retweet us on Twix. That's X or Twitter, a combination between the two, whichever you want to call it, man. Some people calling it X. They're buying into the new thing. Some people are still calling it Twitter. Whatever you want to call it, it's fine by me. Listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. As always, comments, ratings, feedback, thumbs up, hearts, hugs, love. We'll take it all. And we'll see everybody next week. We got episode 32 coming at you. We're going to be talking Oral Roberts baseball with Kyle Booker. This has been the End Off the Bench podcast. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We're out.